Hello and welcome to the JCN Clinic podcast show. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Carissa.
And today we have the lovely Rachael Finch with us. Hi, Rach.
Yay! Hi, lovely ladies. Thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. We've talked about doing this, Carissa and I, for a while, and finally I got myself sorted to send you
when the schedule
message.
Permits.
Right? It was weird actually when I sent you that message. I felt like it was like ages away, and then suddenly it's here. So
It's crazy.
typical.
I cannot believe we're already in April. Like it is. I don't know what date we're releasing this podcast, but it's literally a quarter of the way through the year. The kids have finished their first term at school, and I feel like I've just come out of New Year's Eve party. Like, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, it's nuts. So, Rach, for those people who maybe live under a rock and don't know who you are, I thought we would just start briefly. Like, I've given a bit of an introduction already, but just in your words, who you are and the many hats that you wear, just to introduce you to our listeners.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I am a mama of two, Violet and Dom. Violet is 11 and Dom is 8. Dominic, we call him Dom for short, and a wife to my amazing husband, Michael. And together we have co-founded a company called Kissed Earth. It's a wellness company that offers everything from collagen to vegan protein powders to medicinal mushrooms, vitamins, hair care, kids products. We've now just released activewear. We love anything to do with what makes us feel good, what makes us perform our best, and what makes us the best versions of ourselves. And anything that I use in my own life or I want to do better in terms of product and quality of product, we always we're looking to move into that space, essentially research it more, understand it more. How can we do it better? How can we source the best possible quality ingredients and offer it at still an affordable price? So that's what I do with my husband. I've got the kiddies. I'm a tennis mum. I collect about maybe 1,000 odd tennis balls every week. What else do I do? I do lots of cooking. I'm an all-round health nut. I have studied health coaching. I've done personal training, yoga teacher training. I've learned a lot from you, Jess. I'm just a sucker for information on what makes me feel good and how my body and mind are going to perform at their optimum. So for me, it's just this constant learning curve and evolution of what can I do? What information do I need? What can I implement today, this week, this month, this year to make me perform at my best? So I would just say I'm a sucker for health and I love
it.
Cooking, and I'm a mama.
So love it. That is so you in a nutshell. I just love it. I'll let Carissa ask our first question as we get into the nutritional nuts and bolts.
Perfect. So I suppose this will be a good one because anyone who has obviously followed you for a while, Rach, over the years of, being in the spotlight, how do you feel your relationship with nutrition has changed over like the decades, maybe pre, being in the public arena to where you are now?
Yeah, it's interesting because I started my life playing a lot of sport. So Mum says she can remember me running down the athletics track with nappies on. So she got me into athletics really young. I did it for a long period of time and I was just playing sport, touch football, athletics. I did all the cross countries, netball, volleyball, you name it, I did it. So I had that I developed that natural ability of body mechanics and just that physical endurance well. But let's face it, in my teens, I had no clue when it came to nutrition. I was just eating based on enjoyment, eating based on what was in front of me, but I never understood why. It wasn't until my late teens, like we're talking 18, 19, where I got into modeling at about 15, and by that time in my late teens, I was incredibly deprived and I had done a lot of things in terms of nutrition, diet, exercise that led me to lose my menstrual cycle, get into a place of complete exhaustion, fatigue. And so I was basically using nutrition or using food as a form of a vehicle to the way I looked. So it started with having no education, no awareness. And then late teens, I was just using food as a form of how I looked. And then in my early 20s, I started becoming more aware and started educating myself because I got tired of being tired. I got to the point where I hadn't had a menstrual cycle for years because I was going to the gym 2 times a day. I was cutting out food groups. No way was I eating enough. I was putting so much stress on my body, which wasn't allowing my menstrual cycle to even take place. These were during my key fertile years in my life, and that was not happening. So I would wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning and I would go to bed at 7 p.m., 12 hours of sleep, and I would still be so exhausted. So I got to this point where I'm like, I'm just so tired of being tired every day. And I'm 20, I'm 19, I should be thriving, you know? So I started educating. I started diving into books, uh, people, experts. I studied health coaching. I started getting into more about nutrition. What do I need? And slowly I started just educating myself on what do I need on a day-to-day basis as a woman to nourish my body completely and to get back into a state of, I guess, homeostasis or balance and just to feel normal throughout the day. So, and it was through those courses as well, like when I was studying health coaching, that simple things like you should have a balanced plate, or these are the benefits of more green, or this is what fiber does, like just really basic stuff, you know? And but it was that basic stuff that just reading it and hearing it was what I needed in order to go, oh, well, I'm definitely not having that. I've cut out carbs for weeks and months now. Like, because the modeling world told me that carbohydrates were absolutely detrimental and would make me put on weight. And I wouldn't book that job if I had that extra 5 kilos. And I needed that job because that was paying my rent. And I'm in Singapore on my own. And I was just so confused, you know? So the education in my early 20s really led me to start eating differently and treating nutrition differently. And then 24, I had Violet. So pretty young. Nowadays, I think, wow, like 24 was pretty young to have my first baby. And that changed everything. I was pregnant now. I was carrying a child. I had to nourish another little human inside of me as well as myself. So that led me to a whole new realm of information and understanding. Late 20s, I just built on that. And I'm now 36, so I'm in my 30s. And I would say I'm probably obviously, the most educated now because I've had that information. But I would say I'm the most in tune with my body now than I ever have been in my whole life. Even in my 20s, I knew what I should and shouldn't have, but I still was, getting familiar with what's actually right for me or not right for me, or what does my cycle actually look like? What should my bleed look like? What should my energy levels be like? What does energize and not energize? Like, I was still kind of understanding that in my 20s, but now in my 30s, I really know, I feel I've got a really good handle on exactly where I am in my cycle, exactly what my body does at certain times in the month. And I feel like I know precisely what my body needs on any given day in order to perform at its best. And I know that will change because I'm coming into my soon. Let's just keep it at 36 for a while, but soon, soon I'll be in my 40s, and then perimenopause will start, and that will welcome a whole new realm of eating and intuition and nutrition and lifestyle changes. So it's like as hard as it is for women, I think, to gauge and track all of this, I actually find it really exciting because I don't know, I just feel like we're such unique creatures and we have the ability to track and work with our cycle and work with our energies on a really deep level. And if we know our body well, then we can maximize its potential if we work with its ebbs and flows. And I find that exciting. I mean, I feel like guys have it easier because they're just like 24-hour cycle, boom, boom, the same, the same, the same.
So true.
It's like, I just look at Misha, I'm like, yeah, you'll fast for 14 hours and, you know, your body just handles it so much differently to what I do. But I'm happy to eat every 3 hours. I love it.
So true.
So, yeah, so that's where I'm at the moment. But I think just that intuition is definitely really big for me right now.
Yeah. I love that. I think you've really explained, which is one of our sort of second questions, is how what you've learnt throughout these years, like, and you're such a sponge for knowledge, and how you've used that to guide you just decade to decade. But I also love, Rach, how you're also always so open to learn more, and like you're already thinking about the years ahead, and you know that things will change again. Like, you're not like so many people, I think, can get kind of close minded and just be like, this is what health is, like this is what works for me and it'll always be this way, or just like, you know, no, this is my pathway. And yeah, you're so open to that knowledge and just like always learning, which is so
I think you have to be. You've got to be inquisitive. You've got to take, I always say, every meal, every day, every meal, every time you exercise is a new chance to learn more about yourself. So every time I sit down for a meal and I consume that, and then I gauge how I digest that meal, whatever it might be, one day, funnily enough, I'll digest it perfectly and it will feel great. The next day, it doesn't work. Or I might have like a bit of bloating. I'm always thinking, assessing, and I am a real sucker for that information. A perfect example is our sessions, Jess. So anytime there's something weird or wacky going on in my body, I'm like, text Jess, I'm getting a test.
I do get those random texts from you.
Yeah.
Just what you said.
And anyone that texts me, I pass on to Jess. I'm so sorry, Jess, for the influx.
I love it. I love it.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope she has space. But it could be anything from energy, fatigue, and energy is a big one because I am a sucker for achieving a lot in any given day. So I want to perform at the gym. I want to get the most from my training. I want to get the most from work, business, life, kids, picking up those tennis balls, everything, right? So for me, I'm trying to do so much within any given day. So I need to support my body with the right lifestyle, sleep, water, and nutrition intake is probably, I would say, the most important component of all of that. So making sure that I'm eating the right things on any given day at the right times, within the right time frames. So yeah, I just I love getting that information, knowing what is happening in my body, and then just being able to go, okay, that is low and that is high. I didn't know that marker even existed, and I didn't know that that high marker was actually a result of that, or that then affects this hormone down here. That's interesting. Okay. So then just puts me on a protocol to increase X, increase Y, and decrease Z. And then over, 9 to 12 week period, we've got this more balanced Rachael that is able to approach my days more easily. And then I can take that in my own life and gain an even better retrospect of that intuition and understanding of what I need moving forward from a food and lifestyle perspective as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also that sort of bleeds into coming at like for now and the current, like how eating is for you in your daily huge plate that you have and the importance of that, and like how that helps you achieve what you need to achieve. So I think you've just highlighted that again. I want to jump to the next area and talk a little bit more about the family, because I think this is a really big area. Like, you've highlighted how important nutrition has been for you through these years and everything that you've learned, and how you're so aware of nutrition on a daily basis, and you have so much that you're achieving every day, and nutrition is a priority to make sure you can achieve that, which Carissa and I can definitely relate to. But how has that nutrition changed for you since having a family? And I guess also, like, there's you within that, but I think it's really interesting then for also how like that has bled into family life, and obviously having Dom and Violet, and like I would imagine also the excitement of like teaching them about nutrition. But yeah, I'm curious about how things have changed since having a family and not just Rach.
It's been a dramatic change because there's such a flow-on effect, and they are complete sponges. So I'm not only eating to support me and my body and even to cook for Misha and him, but because every single thing we do in the kitchen, at the table, when we order at a restaurant, has such a flow-on, that becomes their blueprint in their brain. So they're watching and learning and understanding why we do the things we do based on those decisions. So it's especially Violet, being a female, and she's 11 now, so she's coming into some really delicate phases in her life where she will soak up certain pieces of information, and it just becomes her makeup and her DNA. So I'm really cautious about the way we eat, why we eat the way we do, and explaining that to the kids as well. Not just eat your food. I'm saying why every time. Why do you need the protein? Why do we have a variety of fruit and veg? Why is it always colorful on the plate? Why do we have those complex carbohydrates? What are complex and refined carbohydrates? Why do we need this before we go do a tennis session? Why do we need this type of food post tennis? So that's the other thing, because they play sport at quite a competitive, serious level, they need to be refueled specifically for that as well. So that's even more of a concern for me, to be really aware and hone in on their nutrition and what their body needs on any given day. So that's super important. But obviously it becomes all about the kids, right? So it's not about us anymore. And yes, I need that to support me and survive day to day and feel good, but it's now completely about them. So it's like having to all of a sudden learn from scratch about somebody else's body completely. Because what I need is so different to what Violet and Dominic need at their age. Their bones, their organs, their blood, their muscles, everything in their body requires such a different amount, volume, but different variety of ingredients. So it's interesting just learning more about what they need as well, and also trying to make it fun for them as well, so they enjoy it. It'd be one thing serving a bowl of plain quinoa and just
Steamed
like
broccoli.
random mince and steamed broccoli. Like, yeah, okay, you're hitting everything we need, but you want to make it really tasty for them as well. And it's I know this is a question later about the challenges with children, but it is difficult because you walk into cafes, you walk into restaurants, you go into stores, and we're at birthday parties most weekends, and there's just an influx of overly processed food full of junk, and it's right at their eye level, and well, that child's having it, so why can't I have it? You know what I mean? So it's a hard one, having to navigate that, but again, it just comes back to what happens at home is really powerful and incredibly important, and you need to keep re-emphasizing why. It's not the teacher's job, it's not anyone else's job, but the parents, to make sure that that education is apparent at home, not only for nutrition, but anything, becoming a good human being, why we do the things we do, and constantly explaining it's not enough once. We've explained the same lesson. I can't even count. I've lost count multiple times driving. Like, and Misha and I are like, yep, we're on that one again. We just have to copy and paste every day, you know, because until it becomes their second nature, like us, you just have to keep re-emphasizing why we do what we do. Take your plate to the sink, please, because it's good manners. Why? Because it's good manners. Have a shower. Get your feet off the coffee table. Why? Don't stand on the couch. Why?
Oh, the
Because
whys.
I'm like, oh my gosh. But that should be apparent for food as well. And
Yeah.
it's hard. The hardest part is we're all tired. Yeah. So we get home at 6 o'clock. The last thing I want to do is sit there and explain for 15 minutes why the bloody hell I'm having sweet potato instead of white pasta. Like, just eat it. No, is not enough. Because their brain does not work like that just
No.
yet.
No. Do you think that
So
they
that's the main, yeah.
sorry, Rach, do you see that they are developing an interest, or like actually an interest is one thing, but like a bit of an understanding? Because I know even with I know Chris would be the same with her nieces, and I see with my nieces and nephew, like it's that same dialogue. And sometimes I just look at their little faces and I'm like, you really don't care about protein, do you, in the way I do?
It's funny. They do take in the information. I've seen it. I've seen it more so with Violet because she's more naturally inquisitive with this type of thing. She's obsessed with baking and she loves like putting recipes together and just creating like random concoctions in the kitchen. Oh my gosh. Oh, like some of the things she put together, I'm like, girl, I don't think that's gonna work. But she will try it. She will
Good on
add
her.
it and give it her best crack. So she's definitely more inquisitive, and she knows. She's just listened. She's been around us a lot, and some of the times if we're working from home or she's been in the office with us or we've been developing things at home, usually after hours, and she is across the information. And they might be sitting and you think they're not paying attention, but they definitely are. And that's why that I was just saying before, that language is so important, and just watching everything you say and how you say it, because they do pick it up. Dom, I feel, is just naturally, he's a boy. I just feel like he has naturally has different tendencies and different likes and interests. I would just say, make sure you have that and he'll just eat it. But Violet is more about the thinking and the why. So I'll still tell Dom, but he just naturally does it. And he'll say to Violet, just eat it. We'll be done quicker if we eat it. Whereas Violet's like, what are these olives? Like, if I was to have all these olives, Mum, and and swap that for that, what would that do for my body? She's so cute.
I love it. It melts my heart.
Yeah, same. And and when they get in the car from school and they mention certain things, or there's points where you understand that they have understood and they have comprehended what the message is. It's such a momentous time in a parent's life because all that work has actually had some meaning and it's got through, so that's really powerful too.
Yeah.
Lovely. Rach, what would be like, obviously you've definitely just mentioned some with going to being super health conscious yourself. And we chat a lot about this with our clients, like navigating kids' birthday parties, social occasions, like language used around food and, all of that at home. What do you feel like obviously are some of the other bigger challenges like maybe even just doing things on social media? Like, obviously, do you feel like that's a bit of a challenge? Do you cop some really positive feedback or some negative feedback in terms of how healthy and health conscious you are with your family? Is that something that you've had to navigate as well as a family, as a couple, for you and your husband as well?
Yeah, we cop it all the time.
Oh, really?
We get a lot. So because we are so transparent with our community, and we love that, and we've shared that, since the beginning, since the time I actually started Instagram, and sharing that family journey has been who we are
Yeah.
as a family. It's been interesting to watch the feedback. Criticism, support has been incredible. And don't get me
Awesome.
wrong, 95% of the time, it has been amazing, loving, supportive support from our followers. But there are people, obviously, that I think are very strong behind their keyboard. And, I always think of it like a lot of the time people will write stuff and they would never, ever approach someone in the street and come up to us and say that to our face. I find that so interesting. And that's something that we have to be really mindful with, particularly for the younger generation. But we get things all the time. We'll post recipes or food that the kids are eating, or show their playing tennis, or their routine, or what time we get up, or just general images or videos of the kids and their body shape. We will get comments on the way Violet
You're
looks, how skinny she
joking.
is, how she's going to grow with an eating disorder. Why aren't I feeding the kids proper food, like normal food? And I'm thinking in my head, normal? What is normal
What's
these
normal to
days?
you? Yeah,
Yeah, define
exactly.
normal to you.
Yeah.
You're depriving them of their childhood. They're going to grow to hate you.
Wow.
Lots of these types of comments, and comments that 5 or 10 years ago I'd be like really hurt,
Yeah.
But now it's almost become, when I hear that now, it's almost become like, oh, that's just another random comment, and now I don't take any notice of it. Because I understand that
Yeah.
it's just unfortunate that some people potentially could be saying that out of a place of, suffering for themselves. Hurt people. And it is what it is, and
Yeah.
everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I don't think anyone should be personally attacking anyone else online, depending on, despite what your opinion is. No one should be personally attacking anyone. However, people are entitled to their opinions, and that's just the nature of being online. And it's up to you to develop a strong foundation and a strong backbone, I guess, on being on the receiving end of comments. And it's just the nature of what we do. And I'm not saying that it makes it right and you have to be strong in order to accept those comments. I'm just saying personally, that's what I've had to do. And yeah, it just is what it is. It's different when they're attacking your parenting abilities. It's different
Wild.
if someone says to me, you're not eating enough, that's disgusting, you're such and such, about me. But when they start saying it about the kids, that's a whole new realm, because
That's just
it
insane
just
to
it hits
me.
a different it hits a different nerve,
So
so
I got to say, the way I see it, Rach, and I like obviously just knowing you for so long now, like I can see Chris's face is shocked. She had no idea. Like I've seen this occur.
Oh, wow.
And I definitely look at this, whether it's with you or in other realms. I've seen it where, yes, keyboard warriors, but there's an element in health where if you choose to have a healthy lifestyle, and it's like holding up that mirror to people who don't have a healthy lifestyle, and some people are fine with that and others find that really confronting. It's like someone who decides, like, I don't want to drink, and then you've got like people coming to them going, oh, you're boring, why don't just have a drink? And it's like I will feel better about my unhealthy choices and my unhealthy lifestyle if I make you feel crap about yours. And also unfortunately, we live in a society where eating in a certain way as a standard Australian diet generally isn't that healthy, and there is a lack of education about nutrition from like young age growing up still. And I feel like when people choose to make healthier choices, again, that becomes confronting to the norm. And it's just such a shame that there, instead of people being inquisitive and learning, that people feel like the way to deal with that is to attack, because they feel insecure about themselves. I definitely see there's a big underlying it. There's this like strong insecurity about themselves and their own well-being.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, you go, Carissa.
Sorry, Rachel. Yeah, the reason I was asking, as Jess knows my facial expressions really well. The reason because I've got obviously so many clients who are beautiful moms like yourself, and they're doing the same thing with their little ones, where they're navigating the party space, navigating the social space, navigating the online space of trying to cook recipes and share it and they're copping a little bit of flack as well, just in that you're not eating normally and stuff. And it's like, well, we have these conversations behind closed doors, like, but this is our normal. Like, we choose to be healthy, and to us, this should be the standard, right? Like, this should be
It's interesting, because I always think to myself, if I was to put up the burgers and the chips and just that instead of anything healthy, would I cop criticism for that as well?
Yeah.
Or would that be considered, oh, you're giving them a good childhood and they're just having fun? I question whether that would be accepted or not accepted. My goal online is to evoke and instill positive change, a great message, is to hopefully encourage and motivate people to make healthier changes. That's my goal. I choose not to put the tantrums and and what we consider the negative side, as I do try and show a balanced approach, but I try not to show too much of the other side, because I want it to be a place where we've got enough of that online. Someone can open up their Instagram page and see something positive and go, okay, let's get out for a walk today. Or, maybe I'll try that awesome recipe, or whatever it is, like that looks delicious, or maybe I'll incorporate that, or let's try that as a family fitness together. I'm not saying it needs to be all of that. And, I try and show as much as possible. And, our games on the PS5 or whatever that contraption is in the lounge room, and like I try and show the variety, and that we have iPad time and screen time, etc., and all of that. But I want it to be come from a place of positivity.
Yeah, beautiful.
And again, like I said, it's 95% of people that they are becoming more open-minded, and the information, I think, is becoming more prevalent to them. But it's a small percentage that speak the loudest, unfortunately, in this world, as we've seen with a lot of different issues. And it's a shame that becomes the loudest voice for the minority.
I just think, even online or not, like the world we live in now, and I can't even imagine what it's like raising little humans in this world. Like, I try and be the best influence on all the little humans in my life, but Jess and I don't have our own little humans. But I just, chatting to friends and family and clients, like it's a minefield of just all the things, isn't it? And then, like you said, you just want to bring this positive space, and it's a lot.
Not being afraid of communication, even like it might be scary. You can't imagine what it's like without kids, but it's literally opening conversation. I don't know what you guys relationship you had with your parents. Mine I was definitely close to my parents, but I just don't think they were 100% confident with delivering messages and information well. And so on a variety of topics. So I think it's just not being shy, even if you don't know the answer 100% thoroughly and well, just to try and explain to the best of your ability why. Like sticky topics like sex and periods and things like that, that's awkward for me to think about, to start talking about with the kids. But it's imperative. If they do not hear it from me, they're going to hear it from Billy in the playground, whose, you know, parents aren't so in tune with education, and they're going to, that will be the information that your child then receives. So we just have to
So
do our
true.
best to be open with communication, sit down, have those conversations just to the best of our ability, and not be afraid ourselves to get it wrong, because you just have to start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Communication. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I'd love to end on this question, and then if we have time, we'll see as far as recommendations. But everything we've just chatted about, thinking about the years, the last few decades, so many things that you've learned. Are there some standouts, particularly with regard to nutrition, like some standout, whether they're points or areas that you have learned and brought into your life that really have had a big impact personally and or on the family? I know that's a hard question, but I'm so curious.
No, it's actually not hard. The biggest one for me has been the inclusion of all the food groups when we're talking about nutrition, because I remember at the start I was telling you about, I've come from a place of cutting out and deprivation, and that was ingrained in my brain for such a long time. Don't have carbohydrates because they will make me put on weight. And then we went through that fat-free phase. Don't consume fats because that'll make me fat. You know, so eating enough complex carbohydrates, eating enough protein, and those demands are obviously going to be really a lot higher if you are training a lot or if you have a much busier lifestyle. Just eating as much variety in terms of fruit and veg is really important, but cutting out whole food groups has been a big one for me, and not being afraid to sit down for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and consume all the food groups and all the meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Our bodies work so differently to men's, as we know, and we process sugars a lot differently. We have, obviously, our hormones are completely different. They have different needs at different times in the day. And me understanding and learning that as I've gotten older has been absolutely essential. So I would say the biggest things has been not cutting out meal times and not cutting out food groups, and being okay with waking up and having breakfast literally within an hour of waking. That for me 10-15 years ago was like, oh, you cannot do that, you've got to wait till you're starving to have your first meal. Whereas in fact it's the complete opposite. If you can get up and have something to eat and tell your body, okay, we're receiving food, you're okay, you're not under threat, everything's good, then you've got you've got a much better chance to go about your day in a really balanced and calm state, and you're providing your body with all the right macro and micronutrients in order to allow it to perform at its best. So I'd say that's probably the biggest one for me in terms of nutrition. Yeah, the food group one's the biggest one, because it was the thing that ignited all the problems that I had with my health and the reason why we do what we do now.
You're a lady after our own hearts, I tell you, Rach, with that. I just, I love it. It's just like wrapping macronutrient balanced eating up in a beautiful bow.
Exactly. Like I love all of that information, especially because if you're someone that is also adding a training regime onto an already busy life, your demand for nutrition is even greater. And that has been something that's been huge. Like I would have never thought 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even, to have something substantial and adequate before my training session in order to start that protein synthesis and just uptake of nutrients in general, and then post training, and then a meal 3. Like it just wouldn't have, in my modeling days head, I definitely wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought the less the better, because I'm restricting my calories, and that is going to help me lean up and achieve my ultimate weight. Whereas it's not that. Women thrive when they have a constant food supply and they're having meals regularly and nutrition is coming into their body regularly. Men can deal with a lot more fasted states and like lower calorie, so to speak. But yeah, if you're going to be training, then I think it's really important more than ever to make sure that you've got that adequate supply of nutrition.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, Rach, if you have a chance, as far as time goes, I'm not sure how you're going. What do we got? About 4 minutes left here. I'd love to just quickly squeeze in a recommendation. We usually end with just giving the listeners a reco, and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be health related. It can be health related. So if there's something that comes to mind that you'd like to share.
No, yep. Mine is actually something for the home, and it is a water filter. So I'm a huge fan of making sure that, because we only just moved into this new rental, and that was the first thing 2 weeks before we arrived here that I had planned. Like, as we were moving boxes in, the guy was there drilling into the bench top, installing the water filter. That for me is really important. And I know it is an expensive addition to the home, but having super clean, purified, alkalized water, if possible, with a mineralizer would probably be, I was thinking, what could I recommend? But that is imperative for me in my life. So I have a reverse osmosis alkaline mineralized water filter, which sounds ridiculous.
I love it.
Anytime I tell my friends, they're like, "You are insane." And can you imagine if I said that on Instagram? Like, the people that would write, like, "You're an absolute lunatic." This is what I'm saying. Like, okay, that's what we've got. Yeah.
Makes
And
sense
if
to
you're a
me.
chocolate fan, which I am a chocolate, and if you're a chocolate fan like I am, my number one go-to chocolate is Loco Love. I don't know if you girls have tried Loco
Yes,
Love.
we
but
have. Yes.
they're the ultimate.
Yep, they are good. They are very good.
I have no words for how good Loco Love are. I just adore them.
Yeah, I always say to my husband, one Loco Love a day keeps the doctor away.
Yes. How about just before you jump off, if you just tell our listeners where to find you again, unless they live under a rock, you never know where to find you on socials, where to find out about your amazing company and all that you do.
Yeah, so basically 2 places. All of our products, supplements, and activewear are now available online at kissedearth.com. And my Insta page is Rachael_Finch.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rach. Like, it's just been awesome to have you. The time's gone super, super quick,
So
but
quick.
it's, yeah,
I
loved
know,
having you on
it
here and talking about
flies.
this. Yeah,
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right, my recommendation this week, or really this fortnight, let's be honest, since we last dropped a podcast, is, and I don't know if I've done this one before, Rissy, the Pure Sports Nutrition, their carbohydrate electrolyte mix. I've had a lot of questions since the weekend with Buffalo about nutrition. And the reason I want to recommend this is it's a particular flavor. It's their berry flavor. So whenever I do anything that's over like 2-3 hours plus with the carb electrolyte mixes, I often get some pretty serious palate fatigue. Like, I just get so sick of like the sweet flavors, and it just gets so hard to get things down. But the Pure Sports Nutrition, particularly the berry, I can't recommend it enough, because it's just, the berry in it is like a certain level of sweetness that it doesn't overwhelm you, and I'm able to just like keep drinking it for like, I mean, it was, I think, about 6 hours on the weekend, and then ironically right at the end I swapped over to the pineapple one, and by that point I was like, nah, I can't do the pineapple, it was just too sweet. But if you're someone who has been asking me, I definitely will do more information about this in a podcast and go in depth. But if you're interested in trying something like for more of an endurance effort where you're out there for multiple hours, yeah, the berry flavored electrolyte carbohydrate mix is the absolute bomb. So that's my recommendation.
Lovely. I don't think you have. I think you've talked about the pure sports nutrition gels before, and maybe just in that Cosy podcast, Kosciuszko
Yes.
podcast that we did, but I can't remember if you actually did. You definitely didn't just specifically recommend one flavor,
Yeah.
one product. No. So that is a new one. Well done. I
Thank
don't have
you.
a recommendation. My recommendation, I said to Jess before we jumped on, was don't move house. Stay in the place you buy and just till you're old and decrepit and don't ever leave it. No, that's such a bad recommendation. I have been moving house the last 3 weeks, and we did 5 open homes before that. And I know everyone's moved house. So I know anyone who has done it feels me. It is such a mammoth effort. But yeah, that's just where I'm at. I haven't watched anything new on social media. I haven't picked up a book to read it. I haven't listened to a podcast. I'm not even eating as well as I normally would be. It's just been like this mammoth thing. We had a 4-week settlement, but the first 10 days of it was the building pest. So we've kind of just had 2.5 weeks to pack up the entire thing and everything. So that's my recommendation, is just holy hell.
It's an anti-recommendation. I think I did one of those once.
I feel like I don't know how I've said this to Mick a million times, like full respect to anyone who does this with kids, because adults keeping something tidy is one thing. If you are doing open homes and moving house with kids, oh my golly gosh, how do you stay sane? Whoa, it will be so hard, man.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah. So true.
But yeah, no, I don't mean that, because obviously moving house is exciting and, you know, new chapters and all the things. I'm so excited for the future, but I'm fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
Absolutely bloody exhausted.
Yeah, fair. It is. It's like, it is. I think we've said before, there's a list of some of the most stressful things you can do in your life, and right up there with getting married is moving house,
selling a house and moving it. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's so intense.
It tests you as a couple too, doesn't it? Like
it does.
You guys know from all the renovation stuff. Like I think renovations, we didn't do hectic renos like you, but we spent 4 months getting this house ready to sell. So we didn't do anything majorly structural like what you and Damien have done. But I remember I said to you after a couple of months in, I'm like, I have so much respect for what you guys did. And obviously my mum and dad have renovated houses our entire life, or the house we've lived in, but also dad being a builder. So, you know, I've watched them as a couple work together tirelessly my entire life, and they're still married to this day. Happily, I will add, happily married to this day, but far out. Yeah, I've seen them have some arguments doing stuff, and I was like, why would you lose your cool? Mate, the amount of times I've nearly lost my cool. I yelled at Mick on the street the other day because while I was reversing my car, he was going like that, and I'm just like out the window, and thresholds were high. It was so hot. We had sweat pouring out of us. We'd been like, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'd going since 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm out the window, and I just lost it. I'm like, I know how to reverse my car. I just need to and he's just like, you need to take a chill pill right off. Anyway. Fun times. Everyone who's done it knows what it's like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks everyone for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode with Rach today. We thought it was heaps of fun. As Rach mentioned, you can go and check out anything about Kissed Earth online, or just head to the socials. And I'll pop all of those details in the links below. She has left the building at the moment. She had to jump on another meeting, so that's why you're not hearing her voice anymore. But again, just thank you so much. If you've enjoyed this episode, we'd really appreciate it if you could share it on socials, tell a friend about the podcast. That helps people find us. And as always, if you could leave us a review, that means the world. But otherwise, we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.